Back with the first ever network television interview with Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones, John Lennon, Phil Collins, and Tina Turner.
Hello, this is Keith Richards. Friday Night Videos. We'll be right back with me.
The man known as the soul of the world's greatest rock and roll band, Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones.
I talk about the midnight rambler, and everybody got to go. Well, I'm talking about the midnight gambler, the one you never see before. I'm flying down the wind so sadly, and listen and you hear my moan. Well, I'm talking about the midnight gambler.
We began by asking Keith when he first met Mick Jagger.
When I first met Mick, we were four living in the same street down the road. And yeah, we've been together ever since. You know. We used to play together, which I guess we still do, right? Yeah, so in a way, we started off doing the same thing. You know. Mind you, then we were playing other games. The Rolling Stones were formed because we just wanted to play to as many people in London as we could and turn them on to blues, rhythm and blues, electric blues, stuff which in England had been pretty much ignored, you know, and there were a lot of people that liked it, including ourselves. And so we just wanted to play like that, and we had no thought at that time of writing our own songs or even making records. We didn't figure there was a hope in hell of getting onto a record label, you know. In fact, all we did was, I think we only got a contract in the first place because the guy didn't want to, he turned down the Beatles and he didn't want to be caught again, you know, that was that. You know. When you're 18 and just a club band, and then suddenly you're on big stages with the screaming teeny boppers, it's I guess almost heaven for an 18-year-old, right? But so it was no problem to start with, just to be, you know, successful. It was a laugh, you know, and also you were working all the time. So what's the problem? I got some bread, you know. But obviously later on, problems begin to arise in that you have to deal with the fact that you're not going to walk down the street like everybody else and get away with it, that you're always aware that somebody's going to know you are, that you're going to always on the lookout for mobs of kids and everything. And eventually, of course, as Brian could tell you if he could, it can be a big problem for some people, yeah. We went straight from our regular little club gigs down to, I think it was Victoria in London, you know. The thing I never forget about that, I don't think any of the Stones was, when those curtains first open up and you're used to playing in a place maybe as big as this stool, you know, and suddenly you feel like you're in the middle of the Sahara Desert or something. You know? That's when you realize this is showbiz, you know. We were 6 weeks on that tour, and by the time we came off, we'd learned so much, especially working with guys like that, you know. The Everly Brothers, Little Richard was outrageous. Bo Diddley was like a real helpful, friendly uncle, you know. He was great, you know. They'd all give you tips, and we used to watch them every night for 6 weeks, you know. It's probably the only show I've ever seen of them many times, you know, except our own. Mick and I once went up to the Apollo the first time we got to New York and saw James Brown work, you know? And then 2 or 3 shows after that, Duran, oh yeah, there's Mick doing the James Brown act suddenly, you know. The initial impetus of the first wave of rock and roll had sort of dissipated. Elvis was in the army, Jerry Lee had blown it, you know, and I think the Beatles just happened to hit at that time, you know, and ourselves therefore got the opportunity as well. And I think that's really what it was. Just they hit a dog day, you know, and over here, and everybody went wow. You know. We just hooked up with Andrew Oldham at the time, and he used to work as a publicist for the Beatles. And they'd been in London and finished a show, and they came down to see us. And that was the first time we met. You know. It was only a few times that paths would cross, but for instance, we used to time our singles so that we didn't come out with a brand new single at the same time. You know, we said, when's yours coming? Is yours ready, George? You know, we'll play you ours if you play us yours, and we'll hold ours back for 3 weeks, and you know, whatever, you know, I mean, because there was no point in standing on each other's heads, you know. Hats off to the 4 lads from Liverpool, because they really made it possible for everybody else to come in.
Just waiting on a friend. Just waiting on a friend. I'm just waiting on a friend.
I know John real well. We hung out for a short period of time, but it was quite intense. We used to hang out in the 67, 68. I mean, we used to sort of drive around England for like days on end. I mean, he was a sweet guy. He had a load of front, you know. As they say in England, more front than Harrods. You know, he had a large exterior, but he was a real sweetheart of a guy, you know. And, I mean, if there's one way that guy shouldn't have gone, it was like that, you know. I mean, you know, but at the same time, knowing John, I can just imagine that he probably cracked a joke to himself as it happened. You know, John was that human, you know. He probably had all this feeling of John as, you know, as it was happening, saying, I asked for it. I mean, it was, you know, such a... I was just down the road when it happened. I mean, it was... Yeah. There's a million other people that it could have happened to. You know, not that it's ever anything to say in favor of it, but I mean, he was one of the last people that deserved to go like that. I mean, come on, look what that guy gave, and look what he got in return, you know.
I sit and watch as tears go down.
I'll be back next week with part 2 of my private reel on Friday Night Videos.
Everybody's talking, no one says a word. Everybody's making love, no one really cares. There's napkins in the bathroom, just below the stairs.